Hi, here I wanted to discuss the two recent interviews by Wade Robson and James Safechuck on their claims that Michael Jackson has sexually molested them for several years, more than 20 years ago, which was then subject of the HBO documentary Leaving Neverland. They also filed civil lawsuits against the Michael Jackson estate for generous compensation. Note, both previously defended Michael Jackson in earlier court cases in 1993. Both did that, and also 2005, Wade only. Here I wanted to look for non-verbal clues, such as body language, and also their statements regarding whether they tell the truth or not. Okay, let's look first at the interview with Gayle King.
I became aware of Michael Jackson when I was about 2, and I saw the making of Thriller.
Wow, how is it possible? How can he remember what he did when he was 2 years old?
He was just this absolutely incredible, otherworldly figure to me that...
Okay, that's how it works here. Wade is saying something, miraculously remembering things when he was 2 years old. James sitting there and nodding and looking into the distance, looking like someone who suffered a lot. They're mirroring each other, and whenever one of them is stuck, the other one helps out, and it goes back and forth. Unfortunately, also the interviewer helps out a lot to fill in the gaps, so nothing is too uncomfortable for them. So this is interesting dynamic, and if you look at the other interview, they're carving copies in their statements, so everything is highly rehearsed.
Huge fan before I met him, and then when I got the commercial, they did
Pepsi commercial.
Yeah, the Pepsi commercial. They did this thing where they would say every day that Michael's going to show up, but it was always his.
It's all about the storytelling and getting into their world and convincing the audience. Let's jump to the key places because it's quite a long interview and also the other one.
We didn't have any contact for a couple of years, and then I met him again when I was 7. And this is when the, so-called friendship began.
So-called friendship? Okay. I don't know. I almost expected the word abuse at this point. It's all the same. You can't tell from their facial expressions somehow, which is not a good sign.
And the plan was, the Monday, that myself and my...
Wait. Monday?
Nothing particular happened that night. We had one more night that way.
So we're talking about a time when he was 7 years old?
And then the plan was, the Monday, that...
Wow. He remembers a Monday when he was 7 years old and what plan he had. I mean, I can't remember anything in detail from that age. Just vague stuff, vague impressions. So he knows the dates. Wow.
Myself and my family were going to leave and go on another kind of vacation to the Grand Canyon. I was devastated to leave Michael. Michael was devastated for me to leave. He actually sobbed of Michael and I being alone at Neverland. The night started changing, and
so he has all this understanding of time. At this age, time doesn't matter, and it's really hard to remember anything in detail. So here there's something not right, yeah?
He started touching me, just in the sense of like oral sex on him, and showing me how to French kiss, squeeze his nipples.
Did you know
That's how it works. He's nodding, he's telling something.
what was happening? Did you think that was inappropriate? Did it scare you? Did you think it was wrong?
A couple days prior to the abuse.
Again, kids don't have a sense of time at this age. This is nonsense. Okay, let's move to another time point.
But if anybody else ever found out about any of this,
Nodding.
you and I would go to jail for the rest of our lives. And we'd be pulled apart. Our lives would be over. Our careers would be over.
So I get a feeling this type of interview would be almost impossible to pull off if there wouldn't be the wingman here and vice versa. They're completely synchronized and they can help each other out. If one is stuck, the other one can fill it in. So he's more the talker, he looks more like the suffering guy. It's a great team.
We can't let that happen. We've got so much to do together. We've got to rule
Nice.
the world together.
Oh man.
Introduced me to masturbation, and then
So he's nodding now. The roles are reversed now.
you start kissing, and I'm on tour, so we're...
So now he says, you start kissing. That's second person. So that's suspicious. That's a red flag. He's not talking about himself anymore. Has that changed?
together 24/7, and it's happening over a period of time.
Well, if you're on tour, there are tons of other people around you.
And then you're kissing and
You are kissing, present tense, and he is not talking in first person anymore.
I taught him how to French kiss. And then it moves on to oral
Again, present tense. Believe me, look, pulled up eyebrows for emphasis.
sex. It's like, can I kiss it? That kind of thing. That's what it starts with.
And he's nodding.
Yeah, there's no alarm bells going off in your head or any thoughts like that. Really, it's just, I love this person and
I don't think that's true somehow. I just don't believe it. No alarm bells.
he makes you fearful of talking to other people. And there's,
So when you see earlier interviews, especially by Wade, there's nothing about fearfulness. So that's not consistent.
when you're on tour, everybody's wanting to talk to you and ask you questions. But
At what point did you
So interesting, she's more lean towards James and away from Wade. So he's of course a more likable person. He has more expressions in his face. He looks like a suffering guy, and Wade looks like smooth talking.
all start to think that this is wrong? Was there ever a point that you started thinking this is wrong?
While the abuse was going on, so the abuse for me went from age 7 to
So when they talk about abuse, they always have this little hiccup going on. There's a little way for them to distract from the word abuse.
About sexual activity with Michael Jackson. He went to trial in 2005. He called on both of you to testify on his behalf. And Wade, you did. You got on the stand and you testified on his behalf and vehemently denied that any sexual activity had taken place.
yes.
Why did you do that?
Yeah, well, the training, Michael's training of me.
Smile. That's a duping delight, I think. The answers come immediately. It's a highly prepared interview. And again, similar answers in the other interview.
To testify began the first night.
So there's always some bullshit story. First night from when he was 7 years old. I don't think anyone can remember something like that.
That he started abusing me.
And he nods and looks like a suffering guy. Like they were best friends, they hardly knew each other.
You're both admitting to us that you did lie in the past. The Jackson family and Jackson fans, as you know, are adamantly defending him and saying that you all are admitted liars. You're trying to exploit him. He is no longer with us. You're just opportunistic and trying to get money.
He's nothing to be opportunistic and wanting money. He just looks like suffering.
The estate and from Michael Jackson. What do you all say to that?
it's an old argument.
Very funny. The question was more towards him because he's the one who wants money. But then he comes to help with some bullshit answer. Let's listen to it again.
No longer with us. You're just opportunistic and trying to get money from the estate and from Michael Jackson. What do you all say to that?
It's an old argument that they
It's an old argument. This is a good way of deflecting a difficult question.
used for many, every time they come out with that. They say it's just about the money.
So he's just repeating and gaining time. It's a total bullshit answer. Okay, whatever.
Psychologically.
Whenever he breathes out heavily like that, he's faking suffering, he's gaining time. It's just bad acting.
What can I do with it now? Right? How can I take this bad thing? First, how can I...
Again, breathing out, acting.
How can I take this thing that happened to me? Michael abusing me, this horrible thing that happened to me, that shouldn't have happened to me.
So he's gaining
that shouldn't
time.
happen to any kid.
This is how they
but it
gain
did.
time.
So what can I do with it now? Right? How can I take this bad thing and try and turn it into something good for other people
For other people, it's about the money,
and for myself? So from that question arose this desire, how could I tell the truth and where? What platform?
So it's always about platform. So he also uses that word in the other interview, and also James uses it. These are very generic sounding words. They mean nothing.
No licensing for photos or
So it's about the Leaving Neverland if they get money for it.
or video.
Never have and never
Yeah.
will receive a cent from this documentary film in any way, shape, or form.
You too, James. Were
Yeah,
there
no.
any money that did you get any money?
He's pretending he doesn't hear. Oh man, very good. I mean, why wouldn't they get any money? This is already a bullshit story. It's okay to get some money if you do a documentary. I mean, HBO is making money. Why wouldn't they get something? They're in it and they're using their time.
For your participation in this
This is
documentary? in any way?
overcompensating.
No, there's no money. No money in the future, no money now.
You had a breakdown as well, James.
Yeah, it happened. I mean, I was in a continued.
Believe me, I had a breakdown.
I can't. Yeah, a lot of mixed feelings. There's still a bit of love, and there's still. It's almost like a guilt for saying the truth.
He's saying exactly the same thing in the other interview.
Like I betrayed him.
Like you betrayed him.
Yeah, it's like I still have those old wiring, that's still there.
The wiring actually Wade used in the other interviews.
It needs a lot of work.
And when you hear a Michael Jackson song, you think what? Or is it a trigger for you?
Yeah.
So now he's answering.
Yeah, it's gotten better for me, but a lot of times if I'm in a restaurant or something,
It's almost like a collective body here. Of course, much harder to go after the truth and the details because we have two people interacting here and they can fill each other's gaps, which is odd because they hardly knew each other.
And your answer, do you feel your mothers need to be defended? Are you okay with your mothers, both of you?
my relationship with my mother has grown.
So again, the question is to both. And interestingly, both have very bad relationships with their parents.
Thankfully, we've been able to go through a lot of healing through this process.
Because a mother's number one job is to protect her child.
Yeah.
So process is another very generic word which I heard in a lot of bullshit interviews. Platform and process.
As I watched that, I had a lot of questions about how the behavior of your mothers, in particular.
The
Parents
are groomed.
The parents.
So now he helps out. So Wade is stuck. James helps with the parents are groomed.
But I had no relationship with little Wade. I had no kind of concept or care for in my mind.
And in your son, did you see yourself as a little boy?
That's what happened. I started having.
So both also have sons, and they both had nervous breakdowns, and they came out similar times. Wade before James. There's too much similarity for this to be true. It's just an act. It's a two-man show, and because they appear so similar, they can help each other out with difficult questions. It's a good team.
Visions or images of what happened to me happening to my son, and I saw images of Michael doing it to my son, and that was the first time that those kind of thoughts in relation to Michael.
The first time he has this asymmetric facial expression. Let's look at this again.
That was the first time that...
First time asymmetric is a sign of deception. So I guess it wasn't the first time, not because it was happening earlier already, but because it's not true.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I would have taken it to my grave. I don't know.
So this thing, taking it to the grave, Wade said in the other interview.
Do you think that there are others out there?
I do think there are others out there.
But... Ta-da!
But I also don't expect them to just come out now.
It's so funny. You make a prediction in support of their stories that other might come out, but because if no one might come out, they're in trouble. So he comes up already with a solution.
It's such a difficult thing to do, to come out. You have to do it when you're ready.
Okay. And now Wade is chipping in.
There are many other boys that Michael abused. I find it hard to believe that he had boys around for any other reason. Than to sexually abuse them.
Again, he finished the story of the other guy. Here I finish the first part of my video, and then in the next part I will talk about the interview with Oprah Winfrey. Okay, talk to you in a bit. Bye.